detector! Another metal detector!
Hi, this is Big Daddy. So, I like head mounting my camera, and I think everybody's seen these head mount flashlights and that have come out. And the great thing about these is that they have a pretty large battery pack that comes with them that can hold quite a few amp hours. And I wanted to replace this head unit so that I can mount my camera here. And I've come up with basically this. So this is my Mobius 2. I love this little camera. It does really good video. It's okay on the sound, but it's lightweight. It'll actually record for quite a long time, about 45 minutes to an hour, on the small battery that's in there. And basically what I've done is I cut the original mount for the light down, add a little piece of aluminum to it, and put a 1/4-20 thread all the way through it. On the top here I put these little washers on there for nothing more than the lens cap. This lens cap can come on. Try and do this one-handed. And then we'll just clip up here, keep all the strings out of the way while I'm recording, because before, you know, I've had it tethered and it just flaps around. So found those little washers fit perfectly on that. So now that I have it mounted, well, you know, I have the battery pack. Now I can feed this power into the Mobius and record for, geez, I don't even know yet. I haven't fully tested it out, but probably anywhere between 5 to 10 hours now, using the battery pack back there. The only problem is it's not a direct wire. You know, we're feeding in 3.7 volts from the battery pack, and then I need 5 volts USB for this guy. So let me move all that off to the side now, and that's where I found these little circuit guys. So what this is, let me just focus on this one. This guy will take in the 3.7 volts from the lithium batteries and turn it into 5 volts out. Let me see. So right, oh, that's the input. On this side, we get our 5 volts and ground. So I'll have USB voltage coming out of it. Meanwhile, this is also a charging port, so that I can then charge that lithium ion battery. So it's all built into one. 3.7 in, 5 volts out, and I could put 5 volts in, you know, when I come home and charge up the batteries. This little guy is, and focus for me. So this little guy is called a battery shield, made by Wemos. Can be found on Amazon. There is one small alteration that you must do for at least my camera, is there needs to be a jumper installed to get out 1 amp output. The half amp output's not enough for my Mobius. Here's J1 up here in this corner. Hopefully I can get a picture of that. Nope. So basically I just solder on a little piece of wire up there. Don't use just solder, use a little jumper wire. Solder is not a great conductor compared to normal copper wire. So here's another one that I have, and what I did is I took off the connector and then I just soldered the battery directly to it. Here's a little package that came with it. I'm shaking. Too much coffee today. So there's the numbers. Like I said, it can be found on Amazon. I'll put in links below, and you can get 2 of them for $10. Even checked a couple of like banggoods.com, which come, China, and they're basically the same price, but then you have to wait a month for it to come in. The only other thing that I added on was I found this little guy. It's the smallest one I could find, 7 millimeters by 7 millimeters. It is a latching switch that I'll use to control the battery. So I'll put that right in line with the battery. I found these guys also on Amazon. You get 55 of them for like around $7. And I'll put that link also down in the description. Okay. So, with all that being said, this is the battery compartment. I took that apart. Here's the inside. This comes out 4 screws. Really nice. It fits down inside there. Focus. There we go. And I took the circuit board, soldered it, well actually I hot glued it directly to this. So I took the circuit board, directly glued it to it. Oh, here we go. I've got the power. Well, this is the negative side, so I ran that into the switch, so I'll be able to access that from the outside. That goes as your input. Then I will take these 2 guys, 5 volts and ground, and the wire that normally supplies the lights, I'll be using that. And hold on a moment. Alright, so this is the wire that's normally installed on the light. So I'm reusing that. Spliced in a USB, this is a mini USB, because that's what my camera takes, and that will supply the power to it. So I'll have a 5 volt USB signal. Well, it's not a USB signal, but it's just 5 volts on the USB. And just positive and negative. So the other thing I want to show is this does fit inside. I did cut a hole in the bottom so that I could get the switch and this recharging USB port out the bottom. So as I flip that in, There it is. So if I'm not using it, turn it off. If I need the power, turn it on. And then if I need to recharge the two batteries, instead of taking them out and put them in a new charger, I can just pop it right in. And I will show, next up I'll show how, once everything's wired up, I'll show how this works. Jumper is installed. Give me that 1 amp. The only other thing I wanted to mention, if you're making this setup, is there is a cavity down in here, and I chose to install the board this way due to this inductor. This inductor is a little bit tall, and hopefully you can get a shot of this. Yep, there it is. So she's sitting down in that little cavity. And that's my layout. I'm going to throw some hot glue all in this area now. Seal it up, and should be pretty tight. And she's going to go inside there. I've done quite a bit of scraping on the inside because I've gone through different circuit boards, different alterations. Yours doesn't have to be this bad. You see I'm trying to do some correction here. So there's a lot of room down behind this battery case, so you can lay it out how you want. Does fit. And there's still even more room. This guy's a little, this guy is about as tall as you can make it. So that's why I went with the 7mm. And that, with a little bit of scraping, will be needed for this. But there's still plenty of wall thickness. So I do recommend, if you're putting a switch in there, try and find that 7mm size, small as you can go. Okay, making a little modification. Decided, I must have read the website wrong, but I got the red wire on the 5V and the white wire on the ground. Still basically the same. I was originally going to be using this mini USB, but actually I don't like it because I have to coil, kind of do a U-turn, so it's actually doing a right angle at the wrong angle. I need it to come out this side. So I have a mini USB that you could just wire up yourself, and I'm gonna throw this on the other end and have the right angle in the correct way, direct line to the camera, which I'll show in a minute after I get it wired up. Okay, I've got it all together. Did find out I did have a little bit of a space issue, even with the 7mm switch in there. So I had to grind out a lot on the inside. I cracked it while doing it, and I'll just epoxy this over, and I've already applied some epoxy over here, and just to fill in those switches, and then just throw a coat of paint on it, and you won't be able to see a thing. But otherwise, the other end, that's all set. Alright, here we go. Here, got her all done. Threw a coat of paint on it, some epoxy. Camera's all mounted up, ready to go. Got my right angle. So, first thing I like to do is I like to power it up first. Then I'll plug in the cable. Let's see, give it some room here. See if I can do this one-handed. Camera powers up. There she goes. She's charging. And that'll be ready to record and charge all at the same time. And that's it. Well, hope it gives you some idea of what you can do. I know with this type of mount, the quarter, using the size hole, quarter 20 and stuff like that, it doesn't have to be a Mobius. You could use your GoPro and all that good stuff on there. Or GoPro alternative. And well, hope it inspires you to do what you need. Make your own alterations. Alright, see you.